All right, Swiggy, we are live Sunday, August 20th. Almost lost my train of thought. Even there, that's bad already go in the beginning of this game. 8 o'clock Central Standard Time on the dot. And Swiggy, do you know what time it is? Because I know what time it is. It is almost football time in Oklahoma.
Almost.
Woo! I got some feedback, Swiggy, on your end.
You did?
Yeah, I got some bad feedback.
It's strange.
Let me try disconnecting, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
Host the show while I'm away.
Okay. Well, we're entering week 0 for college, so to speak. Have a few games come up this week before we really get into the meat of it. Let's see here.
There we go. I think I got solved.
Okay, you think you got solved? Okay, good.
Yeah. I had something up that was giving me an echo. I'm sorry, Swiggy. I'm wrong. So yeah, Swiggy, how have you been, buddy? Did you enjoy Oppenheimer and its moral quandaries, or are you more of a Barbie person? Because I'm going to say I think Barbie was better.
I think Oppenheimer is better, but I really enjoyed Barbie. But
yeah.
But I'm also probably in the minority of people who also saw Mission Impossible 7 when it came out, and that was a movie, great movie. Yeah,
it was a great movie that nobody probably apparently saw.
I mean, it's still gonna make about $600 million. It's just unfortunately you end up releasing the week before Barbie, which will probably beat Mario Brothers, and Oppenheimer, which for an R-rated movie to get to the range of $800 million is nuts.
Exactly. Couple things on my mind too, Swiggy, while I'm thinking about it. We're almost like I mentioned before I had to check my audio. For me, convention season has wrapped up essentially-ish. I have some conventions here and there that I have to go do. Little like one-dayers at this point. But really, as for me, as convention season ends, football season begins. And you know what else signals football season, Swiggy?
Let's see here. The Mets collapsing?
No. That's similar, though, to Texas A&M's roller coaster ride. But no. No, what signals it, Swiggy, is it's so stinking hot out. Like, dude, you mentioned movies. I'm willing to go in and sit in Blue Beetle and pay for it in the IMAX just to sit in there. Like, just to give my AC unit a little rest. Like, my dude, like, unless you're on the West Coast right now or very, very far north, like, it is so stinking hot, dude. Like, the water out of my, like, faucet right now is coming out lukewarm on the cold. And my water's basically saying, no, you're not going to have cold water. You're going to have hot water, and you're going to like it. Like, dude, I'm almost willing to try the experiment of putting cookie dough in the mailbox at this point and see if it makes cookies. Like, if you didn't see Damon Lane, he had it where his grill was already 200 degrees, like, on the inside.
Yeah.
Before even turning it on. I'm like, this is stupid. I hate this. Ugh. Hate it. Did you see how hot it got in Lawrence?
Way too hot, I'm sure.
The temperature was 109 today, but their humidity, I think I saw it was 94. So it was 134 index.
Ooh, that's rough.
Ugh. I know, right? Like, we got to make it through this next week, man. Make it through this next week, and hopefully there's a cold front that comes through at the end of the week. But, my dude, it's hot. It's so hot. Good thing, like, we're doing our best to keep the AC, but anyway, that also signals that we know football season's coming, because you and I both know I will not be surprised. And I was going to save this for later. I will not be surprised if OU on that SMU game kicks it even later than 5 o'clock. Since they're the ones that have it as a pay-per-view, I would not be surprised if it's going to be triple digits like that they kick it to 7 o'clock.
I hope so. Because I mean, because that's like the worst thing right now is, I'm basically staying inside because I'm on some stuff that's making my skin like very sensitive to sunlight.
Right.
Like if I go out anywhere for more than 15 minutes in the sun, I have to put sunscreen on. It's not a little bit. It's no. I have to do this, or I'll pass out, or it'll be bad. But yeah, it's unfortunate. But yeah, I mean they should. If it's pay-per-view, nobody's gonna care.
No one's gonna care.
No one's gonna care if you decide to push that game back an hour or so.
I mean, it's one of the very few times you would ever hear me say this, but I would not be opposed that first kickoff. Kick it off at 10 o'clock against Arkansas State versus 11.
Yeah, I can see that.
I honestly will not be opposed. I would be opposed to 9 a.m. Like, again, it's first weekend. I get that, but you're dealing with this heat. Like, your player. I even heard reports that our players were like struggling like in the early parts of fall camp because this is just not good weather. If it's 100 and stuff, I could see it, but when it starts hitting 110, 115, they really need to start thinking about it. But yeah, let's jump. Speaking of that, Swiggy, let's jump right into it. Week 0 is here. We've made it another year for it. You know what I think the biggest win of week 0 is right now for OU? Knock on wood, of course. But you know what the biggest win is?
What?
I feel like I need to have like a little soundbite so I can have like the little children go, yay! Because we didn't have any arrests this year in the off season. Yay! Like, that's to me a big win right there. Like, wasn't it like the last year or the year before where it was like we kept having players be dumb and it's like, are we going to be able to field the team? Like, yeah, I think that's a big victory.
Yeah, that was a few years ago. That was bad. I remember that.
Yeah, like we were in the running for the Fulmer Cup if that thing was still around. Yeah. So, but yeah, let's jump right in. Preseason wise, let's talk a little bit about positions and everything because besides no rests, you're going to keep hearing the reports of who's doing great and who's doing okay-ish and who's doing terrible. We're hearing more solid, like these players have got it together versus like very few names that are like, ooh, there's going to be some areas of concern. It's just very difficult to filter through the white noise for it to get to the facts. Because at the end of the day, I keep hearing the same things of this player's improved, this one's it. Show me on the field at this point. Yeah. I'm ready to see it on the field. Practice can only tell me so much against your own units for it. I'll buy into some, but I won't fully buy into it because I've been burned too many times before at that point, believing in the false hope. So let's start kind of with the offense. Word around the campfire is that Dylan Gabriel has improved a whole lot in practice. It seems like he's been really studying some game film and really trying to like be a better quarterback and dedicate time to it. I'm hearing obviously as well that it shouldn't be any surprise that Jackson Arnold is like making leaps and bounds improvements. Oh, yeah. They say he probably has solidified himself as a solid number 2. And for sure, they said if something happens to Dylan, he would be serviceable for whatever length of time for it. And I'm assuming until Dylan would be like out of like a concussion protocol or something like that. He would be able to lead us to victories for it. Now, that being said, again, Dylan would definitely be the one based off of last year that it's a show me. Don't just tell me it, show it to me. Yeah, because Dylan had a lot of issues last year. Yeah, he could make some stuff happen, but then he would overthrow some of the easiest throws that you and I could throw. And I don't claim to be a college player.
I can not throw that, but yeah, Dylan. The thing with Dylan last year, Dylan was good. He just some of it is we have such a high bar. For quarterback play, and we should. I'm not saying we lower the bar. I don't think Dylan was good enough last year. I do think that if our defense had been a little bit more experienced and had been able to help close out a few games, I think the feeling around Dylan would be totally different if we had been able to close out Tech.
Correct.
If we close out the bowl game. If we had closed,
and keep in mind some of that,
I would too. Say West Virginia, yeah.
Yeah. Now I will say West Virginia and Texas Tech. I feel like that was a cluster of everybody.
Yeah.
Dylan, the O line struggled. Brent Venables learning like time management. I think that was more of a everybody. But I'd say the same thing is I think Dylan's going to have more opportunities to shine. He's not going to be a Heisman. Let's get that out of the way. Like, if he is, I will be the first one in line saying, yeah, I criticized and bitched at him a lot. But you know what? That's where he's at now. But I don't expect him there. But I expect him to be hopefully better than last year.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I mean, it's always the thing is, it's always tough when someone changes schools. Because like when professionals change teams, they're professionals, and even then, sometimes there can be an adjustment period. In college, it's different. He had it didn't help. Having the concussion didn't help him last year.
Right,
where he missed the Texas game. So I mean, Dylan had some issues, and you also had. It's not that Brent did a patchwork job last year. It's that
the cupboard was way barer than we thought.
Yeah, exactly. And that's our big problem. Because I mean, looking back at it, I know we said it before, but why weren't a lot of Lincoln Riley's classes ranked higher than they were? And we saw last year what happened when you don't get Heisman level QB play.
Right.
Because Heisman level QB play can hide a lot of stuff in college. It just can. USC could have made the playoff last year, and maybe could have gotten lucky if they against I think they would have played TCU or Michigan, whoever they would have played. They could have done it. I still think they get destroyed by Georgia because that defense was just because USC's defense was that bad. But I mean, and that's one of those retrospect things. It's easy to buy into. It's easy to go into the hype. It's easy to believe in these guys. But then when stuff starts to go wrong, you start to see the cracks. And a lot went wrong last year, and we saw a lot of the cracks that had to be fixed.
Correct. I will add into, at least to his credit with it, we're not hearing too much out of the quarterback position during this camp. We're going through the motion. They're learning tape. There's no real extreme takes or anything for it. It's there. Does that make sense? Quiet can be good. Quiet can sometimes not be good, but we're not getting news of that would give us the worry. Like I said, it's going to be one of those wait and see on it, show me for it, and I think we'll get a read on that in the first game. And at least right now for it, I'm a little more confident going in. Even if, let's say, we have the same Dylan from last year, we still have Jackson Arnold in the back.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we are better off at quarterback than we were last year. So that's quarterback back position. Running backs, I think it's going to be they're just as what is being advertised. They're all going to be really, really, really good. If it's based on kind of segueing as well into the O-line, if the O-line continues to be physical, very, very upfront, running backs are going to have all day to run. I'm hearing basically it's a standard beat and bow line. I know we all have complaints about Matauer. I've heard good things about Matauer, though. This is his best camp that they've seen. Again, show it to me. Don't just say it, but show it to me. But it sounds like beat and bows stuff, it's going to be a solid line. There's going to be consistency issues that are going to drive people nuts. But they said based on the positions and stuff at the moment, the only real position we should be worried about a little bit is center. I'm hearing some not bad stuff, but hearing there's a little bit of worry at center. And I don't know if it's because of Frame. If it's an injury bugging him, if it's he's just not getting these more complicated schemes with it, I don't know. And I'm not the person to ask that. That is not my forte of X's and O's at that point. It's weird to me that a center would be struggling at this point, but maybe it's the play calling. It could be the signs and stuff like that. Anything and everything for that. Don't know why. So, but that's kind of where the O-line is. But they are saying this is very, very typical beat and bow. Very physical. They are being praised very much about the physicality for it, which gives me hope that goes back into the quarterback position. It's going to give Dylan time. Last year, to me, he at times had all day to throw and make himself a sandwich, And then there was other times like he was running for his life. I'm hoping that gets solved on it.
Yeah,
but same thing. Oh,
yeah,
go ahead.
I mean, it killed the running game last year too, because I mean, go back to that. Go back to when we really should have closed out Oklahoma State a lot sooner than we should have. Not that we were ever really in danger of losing it, but you saw but that was the game where you just saw the consistency issues with the line. It's like we couldn't get a run game going, and then once that happened, it just turned straight into, can Dylan make the throws? He made some of them. He made some,
but he didn't make some of them either. That should have been spot on the money.
Yeah. So, I mean that's the thing. Like this doesn't have to be like top level O line. It just has to be a very good O line.
Correct. I'm trying to find it just to remind people on it, but I believe the starting O line is going to be Rame, Matower. I want to say I'm trying to remember it off the top of my head because even I'm not remembering it. But they already have decided who the starting O line is going to be this year for it. So we'll see what happens with them. We'll see if they sink a little bit and gel from it. Besides that, like I said, offense, the good thing, to me, the biggest thing, and I'm going to run into it now, this is the good news. Wide receiver sounds like it's finally stabilized, that it's not the area of concern that we thought it was going to be. It's not going to be world beater, but it's not going to be a liability. It sounds like it's all right, if anything, they may have not plateaued, but it's enough where it's like it's serviceable. It's Abe, like Nick Anderson, Farouk, Gavin Freeman, like all those guys are, and the big star, Petaway and Anthony. It seems like as the year progresses, that's going to be probably the biggest jump on the offense is going to be the wide receivers, which is good. We were very worried about that because it was looking a little sketchy going into early preseason stuff.
Yeah.
For that. So, and then now here's the negative. I mentioned everything, but of course the negative, tight end. Stogner is back. Stogner is providing an anchor for that, but we have no one behind him. There is literally no existence. If Stogner gets hit, if he gets tired, and needs to sit out for a couple minutes, we might have to throw the water boy in there and just hope for the best for it. Obviously, I trust them to come up with something.
Yeah.
But that ain't good. That is not good.
No, you need a good you need a good tight end. You do.
You do, and we do. We have a good tight end. That's not saying we don't have a good tight end. We need depth. Yeah, the lack of depth is very, very, very scary right now. What I would say, if I had to deem it like from top to bottom, right now I'd probably say running backs, best part of the offense right now. Then I would probably say O-line.
Yeah, go
O-line would be next, for even with the concerns with the center and Matower. O-line, quarterback, it seems like that's stabilized. Wide receivers would be like right there for it, and then tight end. Not that it's lacking of talent, it's a area of safety versus area of concern type of deal.
Can we bring Mark Andrews back?
Let's see if he has 1 year of eligibility left.
Yeah, does he have 1 year? I mean, come on, you can do it.
Yeah. I will never not complain that Lincoln Riley wasted that offense.
No, he didn't.
Absolutely wasted that offense. Anyway, so any extra thoughts or anything that you're hearing out of camps or anything, or from their first scrimmages, Andrew, concerning the offense?
It's just normal training camp stuff. It's you either believe what you hear coming out of training camps, or you think it's overblown. And the fact that we're not hearing anything overly negative or overly glowing positive makes me feel like most of the reports are probably right where they should be. I think maybe it's a bit rose-colored glasses on Dylan. Just because I think you want to solidify him as your number one quarterback until it becomes untenable or he gets injured and you have to play Jackson Arnold.
Yeah.
but like I mean, if you look at Dylan last year, he wasn't. If I to use an NFL comp, he was Kirk Cousins last year.
That's a good comparison.
He was very serviceable. You could win with him, and with the right, but he's not going to be able. But right. Dylan's just not a guy who's going to be able to put everyone on his back and pull out a win like Caleb could, like Baker could. Kyle.
Yeah. Well, and he doesn't have the talent to do that.
I'll be very fair. He does not.
That's what I'm hoping Levy learns this year is not forcing him to do the things that it's very clear, and maybe because of O-line, maybe whatever, he cannot do.
Yeah.
Keep throwing the deep ball. He can't throw the deep ball. And I don't even think that's an O-line issue. It's the dude can't throw the deep ball. So let's make sure stuff is manageable for it and figure that out. My big concern is, did they finally figure out if Dylan can throw into the middle of the field?
Without killing a wide receiver.
But that's tradition. But yes, yeah. So that's offense. Let's delve a little bit into defense as well. Good things I'm hearing about the D-line. Really hearing great things about the young pups. I'm hearing a lot of great stuff about, obviously, Peyton Bowen. Why wouldn't we hear stuff about him? I'm also hearing, too, that Wagner, we're getting good stuff about him, and that they're going to basically be competing probably the best player on the team, easily. And that makes sense with how much good stuff that we're hearing with Peyton Bowen, trying out different positions because they don't know where to put him because he's that good. Yeah. Which is great because we've had terrible luck with some 5-star defensive guys. So that's great. I'm hoping on the D-line. I hear that they're a very physical unit as well. They're going to be great. If Trace Ford is able to play through his injuries, if he has any this year, he's going to be a difference maker. I feel like he's going to be the linchpin that this defense needs, similar to what, what's his name? Ted Roof's son last year. Roof would have been. And the more removed we get from that team, I still hold firm, Swiggy, that Roof was going to teach the defense how to be a defense. And then when he got injured, that entire plan fell apart. I feel like Ford is going to be like that. He's going to be that little nudge that they need that's going to be the difference maker on the defensive side to do more defensive, to be more aggressive, to force turnovers, to give them more opportunities.
Yeah.
I feel like he is that guy. I just keep going back and circling to him for it. Sure, you have Peyton Bowen. You have what's it called? You have Peyton Bowen. You have Wagner. You have Stutzman.
Yeah, but Peyton Bowen's a freshman.
Correct, and that's something to mention.
It doesn't matter. I expect great things from Peyton Bowen. I also expect some boneheaded mistakes from him this year, which I expected. No one, even if you're a 5-star, you're not going to come into a major college program. He might. I'll be fair. He might. There's always that exception. There's always that guy who, he's 99% good. Yeah, you can find a bad play of him, but because he's so overwhelmingly great, I'm not expecting that from Peyton Bowen. I'm not but I never expected from freshmen until we start seeing that consistency with them.
Correct.
On the field. But I mean, it's great. He's having a great camp. It's great. He's motivated. It's great. He sounds like he's going to be a difference maker in his time with OU. But yeah, I mean, but a guy like Trace Ford is what you need until a guy is ready to take the
next leap. Yeah,
the leadership mantle.
Well, and speaking of leadership, it sounds like Stutzman is going to be the leader on it. It seems like his maturity has jumped leaps and bounds over the stuff, because that was one of our biggest complaints last year, Swiggy, was you could say you could have leaders on the offense. There really wasn't. You could say the same thing about the defense as well. There was posers, but there was no true, there's a vocal person. It seems like this year that has changed, and Stutzman's going to be that vocal person for the OU team for that. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, Bowen, Wagner, Trace Ford. I'm hearing very quietly, a guy that's been consistent is Woody Washington. We're not hearing a whole lot about him, but they're it's not that he's doing bad. It's he's doing what's expected of him for it, and that they expect a lot of good things from him as well. for it. Like I said, I have honestly now that a lot of the guys have left or the ones that were slackers, I'm not really concerned about where they're at this point.
Yeah, there was unfortunately everyone who was a lot of people who were senior on the OU defense were Riley guys, and look, I'm sure some of them wanted to stay at OU. I'm also sure that there were guys who at least explored entering the transfer portal, and every behind the scenes conversation said they weren't going to a better place.
Yeah.
So they were just you had a lot of people who were just killing their last season at OU because their only other option would be to go to somewhere they don't want to go.
Correct. Now that's something to keep in mind too. Like with all the stuff going on, we hear a lot of the good stuff and stuff as well for it. And not to forget too, it's kind of things that I'm curious on, because if we're naming players with it, I don't mind naming players because I do this for a hobby. This isn't my livelihood. I'm very curious within the next couple weeks if Wanya Morris is going to get cut. Because he was one of those players that did not put forth the full effort. He did just enough to not get cut because he knew probably there was no body behind him to take his spot. So he did just enough for it. But yeah, I will be very, very, very curious for it if we find out what happens. Now, here's a flip side on defense, though. There is word of... So I'm hearing as well, obviously, defensive ends may be the single best unit of the entire team for it. And secondary, look, I'm hearing lots of praise for the secondary. Billy Bowman, obviously. Show it to me. That's my biggest one for it because they struggled a whole lot last year for it and got burned. And I want to follow up really fast with what you said too, Swiggy, is they definitely... There's going to be, because this team is young. Let's get that out of the way now. There's going to be freshman mistakes. That's going to drive people bonkers. But get it out of the way now so we don't have it in the SEC next year.
Wait 1 second. Isn't Wanye in the NFL now?
Yeah. He was drafted to Kansas City in the 3rd round.
Yeah, but you mentioned him, or did I misunderstand what you said?
Well, they're still in the preseason stuff, so he still has an option to get cut.
About being cut by the Chiefs. Sorry, I don't know why I connected that with OU. I connected that with OU. I don't know why. That's why I was confused for a second. Never mind. Go on.
No, you're good. No, you're good. Like, I had the ones where it's like Eric Gray's not going to get cut because you always need running backs. Wanye Morris, I think, is in the danger zone, but who knows? Maybe Kansas City sees something in him. I just don't see him sticking around. But with the defense, though, a lot of them are young. I think there was something like a ridiculous amount. Like, there was 96, what amount of players was it that basically play for OU right now that have barely taken any snaps or something? Like, it's a lot. So OU fans need to temper their expectations just a tiny bit for that.
You mean we're not going to beat Arkansas State 220-3?
Nope, it's going to be 219-4. I know. Failure of a team. No, the one thing I have heard, like, there's one big disappointment that I've heard a lot. You hear a lot of the good names coming out, obviously, like Peyton Bowen, PJ Atabare, what's his face, Petaway. Cost offense, cost defense. Man, I'm hearing horrible things though about Key Lawrence. Like, dude has absolutely regressed. They said this was a horrible camp for him. There is no middle ground for it. Like, he is doing doo-doo bad. Like,
that's very unfortunate for him.
Yes, it is. I will not be I keep on saying the young pups are going to be taking spots. Matauer was one of them. I would not be surprised if Key Lawrence loses his job before, let's say, the 3rd game of the season if he just does not shape up. Like, he's got to figure something out for it. But yeah, they're saying this was the worst they've heard of in years. Dude's got to figure something out. And maybe that means that the defense has just gotten too complicated for him for it versus what we thought. Who knows? But
that's unfortunate. But we're at that point where I don't view that as a bad problem because, look, at some point, we wanted this team to get to the point to where guys start dropping off because you have too many guys.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's where we are with some of the with some people, well, so be it.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but this is football. This isn't, Well,
it's what Sean said is hopefully Venables figures out. Put the best players in. Don't be holding on to blind hope. Put the best players in. Now, give them time against real competition.
Oh, yeah.
But put the good players in. Now, the only position we really haven't covered, Swiggy, because there's not a whole lot to cover for it, is special teams because LOL. The special teams, it's like, yeah, they can kick a field goal. Kind of. Like, that concerns me of kind of, and it's like the punting game is just non-existent. It's just like, well, yes. The punting game does exist in the game. It does not mean we are going to do it well. So that is to me, that will be the single worst unit. That's going to be a work in progress for that. What I would love to come back and say in like 4 months, Swiggy, is, we didn't practice the punting game because we had no need for the punting game. That's what I hope.
Punting game just needs to be doable. It's just like I like having a good punter. It makes it you want to turn the field, but it's also probably the least important position in college.
Oh, hey, by the way, complete side note, it looks like OU's women's soccer team just scored against Oral Roberts. So what's the funny scene in Iron Man 3? I'm going to kill him, Tony. Sorry, I had to say that. Anyway, but I mean, I get it, but that's what's been keeping us in these games, though, is having a good punter, which I did see that Turk got cut from the NFL, and he was like, I have no money. Well, welcome to being a commoner like the rest of us. Do some autograph signings.
It sucks, but that's. The thing is, it's the NFL. The NFL is more The NFL is way more cutthroat than college. If you're a bad if you're a punter who causes any problems, they will cut you. That's what happened to like the San Diego State. Not to get into too much, but that San Diego State guy. When it's like they just saw the sunk costs and moved on from him.
Yeah,
because he's a punter. You have to be great to be a punter in the NFL.
Correct, and that's nothing against his religion, anything like that. But it's like, my dude, if you're gonna stir shit, they're not gonna keep you, and that's exactly what happened. That's why he didn't get drafted.
Yeah.
He stirred shit, and it's like, dude, you gotta know your place. You're a punter. You're not a 5-star running back.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're not Eric Gray, at least. You're not even a 3-star.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing. It's like, it's not. It's like Baker. It's like Baker in the NFL. Baker is a good quarterback. The problem is he's not good enough to have a guaranteed position every single year. Now maybe that changes this year with Tampa. I hope it does for him.
Mm-hmm.
I hope this turns Baker's career around. But Baker has a lot of problems right now.
Oh yeah.
You hear about his money problems, right?
I did, and I feel bad for him for that. That's like a.
I feel horrible for him just because. So he made a massive mistake last year.
Yeah.
When he wanted to get away from Cleveland, he changed his contract so he got less guaranteed money to facilitate a trade to Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't know why he did that. Unfortunately, it's like, I think for perspective, he's made $16 million in the NFL, and apparently he's lost $12 million somehow.
What was the running joke?
That was horrible. That
I saw as a meme, where it was an NFL player. It's like, I need $10 million to play the NFL. So it's like, my dude, you make $20 million a year. What happened? It was like a Kickstarter meme.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I like Baker. I wish. Um,
I do too.
I hope things. I do hope things work out because I do hope things work out. But he's just he had playing through that shoulder injury just cost him so much money.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is sad because I get what he wanted to do. I get he wanted to tough it out, and he did a good job. But as soon as
End of the day, though, man, like he needs to. He shouldn't have done it, but then again, Cincinnati should have reeled him in too.
Cleveland should have. It was
Cleveland. I'm sorry, Cleveland should have reeled him in.
Cleveland. Well, my conspiracy theory, and I say this as a Browns fan.
They wanted Deshaun Watson, so they let him play through it.
They did not want Deshaun Watson. They wanted a quarterback. It happened to be Deshaun Watson at the end of the day. But I honestly believe that, and this is moving to conspiracy theories here, that the GM, because the GM had been fired, the GM who drafted Baker had been fired. The head coach Hugh Jackson had been fired, so he had a new GM, a new coach.
Yeah,
and I 100% believe that that as long as Baker kept saying he was ready to go, they were fine throwing him out there, because if Baker played well, Browns fans would have been like, sign him for whatever the price.
Yeah.
But since he played so poorly, I'm not saying. I mean, Browns fans kind of turned on him. They did.
It is what it is.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, that's the business.
Yep.
And the NFL's ruthless. But anyway,
it's NFL. I mean, it's money. Swiggy, anything else on what you're hearing from OU camp? Anything? Because right now they're going into Arkansas State prep at this point.
Nothing else. Nothing else really. It's nothing else really. It's where we. I mean, it's the normal pre-training camp stuff. We won't. We'll see. We won't know. We won't know what people are until we see it against Arkansas State.
Correct.
Hopefully it'll be good. I'm hoping. I'm praying.
Oh, I think we all are. I think we're all hoping and praying to our football gods that it'll be fine. Which is, I mean, you're doing great, because this is a perfect segue. Let's talk a little bit of expectations going into this season, because I'll be honest, I think this team is the bar 9-3. The schedule is too favorable not to be 9-3.
I agree.
I feel like going to that Arkansas State game. It's hard to explain to people, but I think you will understand it, because you're like me. Where have you had it where it's like you go to the game, and the first game of the season, outside of shaking the rust off, you just know, oh, this is going to be a weird season for it, versus somewhere it's like, oh yeah, this is going to be good. You know what I mean? I have to feel that, oh, it's going to be good against Arkansas State. If not, it's like Tulane. Oh, something is off, and I don't know what it is. Oh, it's just rust. I don't know. Oh, something's off against Utah State. I don't know, man. Yeah.
Or I mean, Kent State was bad last year too.
Yeah. So
it got better, but yeah, that was. It's one of those. Well, we'll see, but I do agree with you. A lot of times, especially when you open up with a cupcake. Like I'll say this here: if we opened up against, I'll say, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say we randomly opened up against Florida, and stuff didn't feel right then. It is Florida, so there is something.
It's a Power 5 team versus a FCS team or a lower class FBS team.
Exactly. And that's my thing. It's like when we see, if we struggle in the first game against the season, depending how we struggle. I mean, because I remember the Houston game where we struggled mightily, and but
in 2019.
Yeah, I'm going back to 2010.
Oh yeah.
You know which one? Or BYU, or I think it was Houston. Maybe it was BYU. I forget. But you know what I'm talking about, the one after the national championship year, where it's
Oh
like,
nine.
yeah,
Yeah.
09, yeah, 09, where Bradford got hurt and things just never felt right. So yeah, that can happen. I'm feeling, but I am with you on that, where sometimes things just feel strange and you can't recover from it. I'm hoping I don't feel the strangeness, because other than like, oh, let's say Gabriel, other than let's say Dylan going down, or
Right.
some massive injuries happening, man, at that point, at that point, we should be able to beat Arkansas State. Like, like if it's like 45-14, that's not too much to ask
Hmm.
against them.
Oh yeah, and I think we will. I think they'll pull the starters maybe by halftime just to start getting all the young pups in and getting them like quality reps. Like even against Arkansas State, you can get some quality reps in. Because honestly, my prediction right now, I don't want to jump too far because I want to see what the rest of the Big 12 looks like. But I think for the first 5 games, Arkansas State's what our traditional body bag slash sacrifice to Owen Field.
Yeah.
There's not. It's going to be a name your score game. SMU is literally My Little Ponies. I won't be surprised if they like again punt the game later at the night. But there's not. This isn't the SMU that had Mordecai and everything on it. It's not. It's a okay SMU team, but it's not the coach though that we're also facing too. From it, Tulsa is going to be our vacation home that we're going to probably pack the stadium with other Sooner fans at that point. Cincinnati, they're practically gift wrapping us that game to win that game at Cincinnati because it's another 11 a.m. kickoff for it, meaning people won't be out of their minds already. And then Iowa State, I will be very curious if we can even see if Iowa State can field the team. Like, is the quarterback's handler going to be the starter at this point? Like, who's going to be starting for Iowa State at this point? They're going to lose to Iowa. Iowa will actually score more than 21 points.
That's a mess. That's just a mess. That's just a mess with Iowa State. But I said for years, this is why you don't want legalized gambling.
Well, what's funny is they feel like they're targeted for it. I'm like, no, he was just a dumbass.
Man, if you don't understand why having these guys gamble on sports is wrong or bad, I can't help you. I can't help you. I really can't. It's like, no, it's bad. No, it is bad. You don't want that. You don't want these guys gambling, because at some point someone gets it. It's the same thing that always happens when you gamble on sports. At some point, someone's going to get desperate.
Yep.
And once that happens, bad things happen for your own team, because you can say, well, what's wrong with betting on your own team to win? If you don't understand that, please think critically about what you're saying.
Right.
Because he changes the line. He has inside information. Other people do end up getting affected by that. And it's not something you want. And here's the thing: if someone's bold enough to gamble on their own team, they'll eventually gamble against their own team when they know someone's hurt.
Yeah.
Like it's like I'm not a gambler, but I mean, what was how much money could you have made if you had bet on Texas before the line shifted if you knew Dylan Gabriel was going to be out? Which I think a lot of us did expect it. But,
I mean, I have no idea.
Exactly, but that's my point. You don't want it's not good or healthy for a sport if people are doing that.
Right.
So here's the thing: Iowa State's not being targeted. You can stop gambling on the sport. That's all. That's literally all. Stop gambling. Stop breaking the law. That's all you need to do. Don't like if you're having other people place bets for you, that's pretty illegal, man.
Right. Again, though, right. Is there probably gambling going on in a lot of places? Sure. They were just dumb about it. So I mean, it's their own quarterback's fault that he got filmed gambling for it. It's like, okay, you're dumb. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
his parents are one of those. They're so rich that he expected to just get bailed out of it, and that's just not how it works. He's not likable enough to do that anyway.
not. And here's the thing: sports leagues don't. Here's the thing. I mean, look, sports leagues, they don't care about gambling. They will look, and this is, and I'll say this to everyone out here: people who are like, well, why are sports leagues able to make money off off these daily fantasy deals, but athletes can't gamble? You know they serve alcohol on a plane, right? I can
Yeah,
drink. Why can't the pilot? They have alcohol on the plane.
correct.
because because you can't have a drunk person flying a plane, you can't have a player gambling, and these leagues are not going to put up with it because at some point you're going to get dragged. At some point, as as ineffective as some things are, you're going to get dragged before Congress at some point, and you're going to have to explain why this is going on in your sport and why you're not doing anything to stop it.
Correct, and that's going to be one of those things too. Like the circle back with like the OU expectations. I think right now, unless it's pretty obvious for OU, I don't know what our expectations will be because I don't think we'll even really know where this team is at until at least the earliest Cincinnati or at the latest Texas.
Yeah.
We should be undefeated going into Texas at this point with how everything is. Or I mean, 4-1 just because of Cincinnati. If they pull like some magic and stuff at that point. But it's hard for me to be like what my expectations are beyond 9-3 because we're in year 2 under a different administration. There's a lot of young guys at that point. Most the guys that we need in place aren't there just yet. I think this is just one of those lame duck years where it's like we're just trying to get to the SEC and get the guys as many reps as possible. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think
we still want a winning season to win on a good note for sure.
I do think 9-3 is a realistic expectation given everything.
Yeah.
It just is. I know we all want an undefeated national championship season, which hey, if that happens, I'll be amazed. I mean, amazing story. But I think realistically, anything below 9-3,
there's problems.
I'd allow 8-4 if one of the losses was like a super sketchy, weird loss.
Correct.
Just because, okay, we were basically 9-3, but we had a little bit of bad luck, so we were 8-4. But everything feels good.
Right. And I mean that goes back to last year where it was like even in our losses where it was very frustrating, they were still within a score. It was not like they got blown out of the water with the exception of TCU when we lost a quarterback or Texas when we had no existing quarterback.
Exactly. So, but if we only get to if we're 7-5, I'm gonna have different feelings about that. I'm gonna have much different feelings about 7-5 than I am about 9-3. I think that's what you want. If it's 8-4, but there's some weird fluky losses, okay, I'll accept it. I won't like it, but I can. But at the very least, I can look at it and say,
yeah,
okay, there's some we had weirdness. Weirdness is bound to happen, and because to me, 8 versus 9 wins there's not a gigantic difference between the two.
Right.
There's just not for me.
9 is where it's like you can start doing some statistics for it. 10's really the sweet spot for like some great teams.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I mean, there's a big difference between 9 and 10 wins. Like
yeah,
there just is. But like 8 and 9, it's just kind of like, there's just you're in a zone where I mean 9 wins. I feel would be set up well next year, especially with the move to the SEC, with and with the playoffs being expanded. So I'm not really that has to be expectations,
Right.
Anything below that, though, man, at that point, there are gonna be some uncomfortable conversations around Brent, whether or not.
Yeah, I think Brent had his mulligan last year. Let's be honest. He had his one trash one with it. It's fine. This year, you have to see notable improvement, even if you don't make it to the Big 12 championship,
Oh yeah,
or beat Texas or beat Oklahoma State type of deal.
Yeah.
Like there's going to be some expectation for that. Which is hard again. Why it's hard to predict the season, because if it's like we're just trying to make it through the season, for it, sure, it'd be great to end the Big 12 on a high note with us winning the Big 12 championship again. I still think they're a little bit ways off from that, though.
I think the thing it's tough to say because we just don't know what the Big 12 is.
It's garbage. Well, it's just like I have my own, and I'll be releasing it much closer to game day for it. But it's just like I'm doing like bold predictions that are like reasonable, very bold, and wacky predictions. Trying to keep some stuff out like, oh, we're going to wear alternate uniforms. No, I'm not going to add that. Or we're going to have 6 at 11 a.m. kickoffs. Yeah, we probably will. Oh, we're going to get screwed by the refs. No shit. Mine are still going back and forth like how many games they're going to win, such as they have a very easy schedule, barring some disaster, like absolute disaster. I do not expect them to go undefeated. We haven't done that in a long time. Who it's going to drop to is the big question. It could be Texas. I don't know. No different than I think Jackson Arnold's going to start a game. It's not a if Dylan Gabriel gets injured. It's when he gets injured and how he gets injured for it.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
No different than I have predictions like OU's going to have several first-team Big 12 players. I don't think OU got shafted, but there are some players that you question of who's all going to be there. I don't think OU's going to make the Big 12 title game. My other bold prediction was like OU in the top 15 by the end of the season. I think my boldest one that is possible, OU will have a top 25 defense. Because I think with the Big 12 being so stupid easy this year, it's going to inflate the numbers. And I think that's going to go into the expectations of we won't know what this team is regardless, because with how easy the Big 12 is going to be this year, it's going to be like, oh, you played in an easy conference. Of why didn't you do it? Like there's going to the bias is already there. It's already built in for it. If OU wins, it's like, well, they're going to get the benefit of the doubt for it. No, it's because the Big 12. If they lose, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, because TCU's super seniors are
gone.
Yeah, they're gone. So I don't know what we'll see at TCU.
They're going to be garbage.
West Virginia is still bad. Oklahoma State is in disarray.
They're bad, but they have a very favorable schedule. Like even me, I'm just like, man, they could have an entire roster turnover and still get 7 or 8 wins.
Right.
Easy.
I mean, the healthiest team in the Big 12 is Kansas State.
Yeah, I have them winning the Big 12. I think they're doubting them too much.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, they have a good coach, and there's a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff is favorable for them. I know people like buying into Ewers in Texas, but man, I just,
Texas hasn't done it, so it's hard to say they're going to do it.
Show it to me on the field. I'm never going to be mad about doubting Texas, just because. I heard all this great stuff about Ewers last year, and he had some very not great games. And, and I know that was. I expect a bit more from for how much he's hyped up, and I mean that's a bit unfair because some of it is hype. But man, look, losing Bijan is going to be. I feel it's going to be a disaster for them.
I do too.
Because
you have a great wide receiver core if they can catch the ball.
Yeah, but
I'm sorry, Swiggy. They're going to be the best ever, don't you know? Arch Manning, man.
Yeah, it's just Bijan was such a huge part of their identity. And I'm just taking a look at them, and I'm just like, okay, maybe they'll be good, but looking at them, I just don't. I just don't have a good. I still have a good feeling about them. Hey, I
Yeah.
might be. Hey, hey, I could easily be wrong. I'm wrong a lot of the time. I don't mind being wrong, but I just can't. I just don't know how you. I just don't know how you could sit here and say, "Oh yeah, this is definitely This is definitely going to be Texas's year. Ewers is going to win the Heisman. All this stuff. Could it
No,
happen?
it's because Arch Manning's going to win the Heisman. Don't you know that? He's not going to even start a game, and he's going to win the Heisman.
Oh God, yeah, that's the well, that's the other problem. That's the other problem for Ewers. If he has, if he has what one bad game, how much are we going to hear about Arch Manning if Ewers has like even just one like Texas Tech like game from last year?
Yeah.
It, it's going to be
Yeah.
bad for it's going to be bad for him. And I don't feel for the guy too much, but at the same time, it's just where it's just where Texas is. And I think
Yeah.
Texas has super unreasonable expectations coming into. I think they have unreasonable expectations coming into this year.
Well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, they always have unreasonable expectations.
It just feels worse this year. It just feels worse this year because look, and here's if Bijan Robinson was still there, I might actually buy into him a little bit because you have that safety blanket for whoever the QB is. But
Yeah.
losing Bijan, and look, I think college running backs can be a little overrated. I think sometimes, but Bijan was such a huge part of that offensive identity. I'm not sure what happens next year with them.
Your guess is as good as mine. That's why I don't have them winning the Big 12 or even making the Big 12 title game.
Yeah, I could. I don't either. I don't either. I think right now you have to look at Kansas City. At that point, it kind of turns into a giant shrug. Maybe BYU. Maybe this is a year where BYU is good.
And I don't even think they will be.
No.
They haven't given me any reason either. There's so many unknowns, and there's a couple things I've learned in football, Swiggy. One is any given day, regardless of how bad a team is, they could be the best team on that Saturday. And I've learned that. Another thing I've learned as well, football is a game that is played week to week.
Yep.
That you could have a bad week and still be the best team in the world for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it is. It's just how catastrophic of a loss is it when that happens.
Yeah.
For it. Just like look at just like we could mention OU Alabama Sugar Bowl. Even though I expected them to actually match up with Alabama pretty well from it. It's the same thing any given day. Yep. So do you have Swiggy any final thoughts on expectations for the team for it? Because like I said, we'll kind of delve a little bit more into that this Wednesday for it. But on the surface, it's like it's a lame duck year. Can we just make it through this game? Make through it without any injuries and stuff like that. Give Brent one more year of experience.
Yeah. I mean, that's where my expectations are just to see growth. If we see growth in the defense, if we see some good time management out of Brent, and everything feels good. Because I'm expecting anything big out of Jackson Arnold this year. I'm just not. Nothing against Jackson Arnold. I think
I'm not either. He'll start. I think one game, maybe even Texas to throw him off.
Yeah, so that's why I'm not. I mean, that's just why I'm not super. The offense doesn't super matter to me because the offense is going to change next year anyway.
Right.
The offense is changing next year no matter what happens. So if it's good, great, cool, I'm happy. But the main thing I want to see the defense, which is this new defensive system going to work? And if it does,
correct.
If it does, fantastic. I feel great because you're gonna have just because turnover on defense is important, but you can always find. Look at Alabama's defenses. You can always find a guy to come in. and replace someone who's been lost. But with offense, it's just harder.
Yeah.
Because so much.
And we'll just have to see kind of too. Like it's a game played week by week.
Yep.
So other OU headlines and football headlines too to get into, Swiggy. From it to move on from like what our expectations are. Obviously, if everyone keeps up with it, because it's a meme at this point. OU, the Pride of Oklahoma, had their first Boomer Sooner of the season at practice for it. I think they live streamed it and everything. So it just means having the certain tales that we're getting closer and closer to football season. One thing I will mention that I think they finally seem to get it, but then again, it is due to NIL. For it seems like Meet the Sooners Day went very, very well as well. But for the first time in years, adult fans could actually go and like meet with the players and everything. Because sure, you have the kids and stuff, but like I've said, I stand by the same thing that I've always stood by: is the kids aren't the one paying the bills, guys. You have to do something for the adults, and you have to also accept that the adults are going to sell stuff. That's just the nature of it. It's not the university's fault, but you have to accept that nature. That it is what it is. That I could say that over and over for it, but apparently though it looked like it went well. It looked like it was finally like organized and stuff. It probably went well too because not probably people showed up for it because of the 6 and 7 season versus like a Sam Bradford or something like that.
Yeah.
OU also finally released their opponents with the final two going into SEC next year: Houston and the world beaters of FCS University of Maine, which they are not. They are a horrible, horrible football team. I didn't even know Maine had a football team. I did, but
we're finally an SEC school scheduling an FCS opponent that no one's ever heard of.
Which is sad because we actually did have a schedule. That's the sad part. We had it, and then we had to rearrange it because of obvious reasons for SEC stuff. I'm not disappointed that we got Houston because it does help us with our strength of schedule. I'm not disappointed with Maine because we had to get something out of it, and that's why since OU loses out on that final SEC conference game, they get 7 home games next year. Yeah. So like you get both with it. We all know Maine's going to be the take your kid to the game type of deal. It's going to be a night game that's on Sooner Sports. Go take your kid to the game. Houston needed somebody. I'm not upset. I would have preferred Rutgers of it since we've never played Rutgers, but not for it. But the question is going to be is how is the schedule going to look next year? Like how front loaded are these cupcake teams going to be versus some of the other ones? Is the SEC going to let us space out some stuff? That's where I'm a little more disappointed in Houston. But we get and the question is, are we going to play on site at Houston's what's it called, on-site stadium versus at NRG Stadium?
I think it'll be spaced out. I think Maine's going to be a random. It's going to be that random November. It's always that random November where you see like Alabama play Alabama State or whatever.
Maybe.
Or like when Georgia played Wofford or whoever they play. I think it's gonna be spaced out. I think it's gonna be a late game. I could be wrong.
Yeah, who knows? Well, I mean, OU likes to get that stuff out of the way early, though, especially if they want that to be the streamed game. I honestly think Maine would be early on because of flights. Who knows? But who knows what they announced it, though. We'll see what happens next year for it. In addition, OU was ranked number 19 in the coaches, 20 in the AP. I have no issues with it.
That's fine. I mean,
6 and 7 last year. There's too many question marks.
Yeah.
And what's the rule of thumb? And what's the rule of thumb, Swiggy? It's like once you hit like 13, those ranks are just how catastrophic is your deficiencies for it, and it's just pick your team essentially.
Those ranks help them sell TV games so they can say it's a top 15 or top 20 matchup.
Right.
That's what it is. Honestly, that's 110% what it is. And that's fine. I have no complaints about that. You gotta sell. You gotta sell stuff. You gotta sell stuff for TV. People like seeing top matchups. I mean, people just do. and yeah, it's just part of the dance of college football.
Right. And I mean, that's still essentially so far off for it. I mean, we're still like, I will not be surprised, like I said, if OU's rank is inflated this year. But that's me.
I mean, yeah, but if you're a blue blood, your rank always gets to be inflated. Look at Texas.
Correct. They're getting the benefit of the doubt for it. It's just, yeah.
Every year. I mean, every year. If they can justify making you, if they could justify putting OU in the top 10, they would have. Because I don't think Clemson's that good either this year.
Yeah.
But you're a blue blood, and I don't think Clemson's a blue blood. They're going through a good period.
I mean, they were ranked number 10 on the Reddit's like top 131 programs of the past 40 years. They made it into top 10.
That's fair. I mean, they have a good run, and given that, yeah. So yeah, I buy it.
Yeah. They also released OU had it like Friday or something for it. They also released the 2023 fans shirt. It's the Sooner State, which it's okay. I have no feelings towards it one way. I'll buy it because I always buy the shirt to support it. It's not a bad design, but it's not a wow design. It's literally just a state with the schooner on it. It looks like something out of Home Field with it. And don't get me wrong, I like Home Field, but there's no there should be a little bit more of a bar like we used to have with like the intro videos and stuff for it. I just don't have that. It's like it's a shirt. It's there. It is what it is.
The shirt exists.
It looks like something you could walk in and just get. Always there's no pizzazz to it. You know what I mean? For there's no stuff like for if they really wanted to put it as a Sooner State, they should have waited. Like they should have done like the words and stuff that formed the state, like they've done before with a couple years back, like the first season back from COVID that formed the OU. That's what they should have done for it. But whatever. Like I have no qualms. My favorite shirt still is when they formed the OU with pictures and everything. That should have been something like that. But I'll buy it. But it's okay. I also said the same thing. They talked that Fox already chose that Cincinnati is going to be an 11 a.m. kick. They're going to milk that 11 a.m. kick as long as they have OU left. Flip side of it, OU benefits from it because we don't get the stupidness of the Cincinnati crowd and the fans up for it. That will be like wired at night. They're just gift wrapping again OU to win this game. I'm just looking through my list. Like I mentioned a little bit earlier, the Reddit thread's happening. I predict OU to come in at number 5, and we've already passed number 5. What's her name? Florida was today at number 5. So depending on the ranking, OU could be number 4 or number 3 because they're competing against Florida State in that past 40 years thing of who's the better team. It's like Florida State has the better, higher ranked, but OU has more championships and more like Heisman stuff. Like, is there extra stuff that's considered to it? Like OU has more BCS appearances and more national championship appearances. What plays into that scoring? I won't be upset either way because I predicted them number 5. I thought Ohio State, Alabama, Miami, and Florida were going to be ahead of them. So hey,
I mean, as someone who's a big Ohio State guy, OU's better. Ohio State gets more. Ohio State picks up on it more just because even though they're not really East Coast, they get a bit of East Coast bias comes into play with Ohio State.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you look at Ohio State, I mean, they have 2 championships over the past 40 years, which is still good. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like but that's probably been Ohio State's biggest flaw. Is they would be ahead of us if they had been able to finish off one of those random championships they've lost.
Well, this one's all about what's on the field and stuff too, like who they beat and everything too. Yeah. Like, I'm not surprised it's coming down to OU, Alabama, and Ohio State for that number 1 position because that's the other side of it. It's like you got now the like good and the elite, and then the super elite with it. Ohio State's getting because they faced more top ranked opponents. And they also have the benefit of not just the national championships, but I think it was like they don't have a losing season in the past 40 years. Like that plays a lot into that. That's consistency for it.
Yeah.
Same thing with what's it called? Alabama with the championship stuff. It's not all about the championships.
Yeah.
But if you're judging it, hey, OU making it to number 4 at least, hey, that's good. I'm okay with that. For it. And the reason too he picked 40 years was he's like that's when a lot of the FCS teams teams were booted to FCS, and he was being lazy because you could go back 50 years. If OU was able to go back 50 years, we could have included 74 and 75, so we could have had 4 championships out of it as well. And all the other times we could have played for it. So I think it's going to hurt Florida State that they don't have any conference championships. I think that's going to play a little bit more up front. There's going to be something with it. And I hope to bring him on at some point, but we'll see on it. I did a preview video. I did like an essay for it, and I didn't mean to. I was like, I went through 3 drafts, Swiggy, to like get it out of the way for it because I like predictions. It's fun, but man, did I go through a lot. I did get a compliment from him. He was like, "Holy shit, dude! Like that's a lot." I wasn't expecting something like that. I don't want to like. I have another couple more bullet points as we have about 20 minutes left. I don't want to go into the drama for it because you're already knowing what I'm referring to for it between the 2 media sites for it. However, obviously tailgating was opened up with Lindsay. Everyone knows my opinion. I have no dog in it, so I could care less for it.
Yeah.
But that being said, or no, that was for the 2 media sites. That was later on. But I don't think it's sunshine and puppy dogs and roses like a lot of people think. I think it's we're temporarily opening this up because we're about to take the space from the east side of the stadium for it. I feel like that's what it is, and we're going to give you this space for it. They're saying they're going to open up more spaces on it. Where? Unless you're opening up the South Oval or areas way south, I highly doubt there's going to be. We need to be SEC ready. Again, I state the same thing that I've always stated. The people who are bitching, moaning, griping for Lindsay Street for it, it's not because you like tailgating. It's because you just want a day drink and you want an excuse to drink it in public. That's it. I have no against people tailgating, but that's the real reason. Just be upfront about it. So, yeah, I have no feelings one way. Do you have any feelings one way or the other with the tailgating?
I don't care about it. I just don't care. I'm not a big tailgating guy. I'm fine if they want to do it, but I'm also very much like I just don't care. I don't care. I don't live in Norman. If they want, if I'm on campus, if they want to allow tailgating, if they want to do all that, if they want to take off more space, cool. That's cool. That's fine. Good for them. It honestly does not affect. It just doesn't affect me in any way, shape, or form. I mean, I'm gonna say is if you're gonna do it, don't half-ass it.
Yeah.
Don't okay. If you're tailgating, don't just be like, we'll go halfway on it. No, if you're gonna do tailgating, you got to do it all the way. You got to go nuts. You got to make sure it's safe. You got to there's a lot that goes into it.
Correct.
So as long as they do that, I have no problem. I just don't care. I just don't care about tailgating at all.
Correct. Again, it's one of those, like I said, I have no problems if people want to tailgate. More power to you. I have no dog in this fight, but I also know the real reason for it. Because I also know, too, like, the people who are the very loud vocal minority calling for it, they just want to have the artificial crowd already hyped up going into the stadium. Like, that's the reason, too, for it. But I also feel like they have this mythological idea of, like, what OU tailgating is, and that's just not what it is. Like, oh, we're able to visit, like, other people's tailgate and get food and stuff. That's not what it is unless you're a famous football player from campus for it. If you're the Boz, you can get away with that. If you're Sam Bradford, you can definitely get away with that. If you're Baker Mayfield, they're going to roll you in. For the regular folks like you and me, that just doesn't exist. And it won't get to that point. People want people to mind their own business so they can have their own tailgate. Like, yeah. There's people bitter about the same thing about the paid stuff, but yeah. A couple more bullet points that I have notes, Swiggy. Other one, now here's the other one. Mm-hmm. I don't care about the drama between the sports broadcasters. I don't. No. Obviously, that 5-star recruit out of Missouri, he picked Niwa Neary, I think it is, picked Missouri.
Okay.
It's recruiting, guys. Not every recruit's going to pick OU. That's A-okay. OU's going to be in the fights, guys. Go touch grass. It's okay. As we say in video games.
Recruiting is the only way. The only way you can really look at recruiting is it happens literally every year. You'll have. I mean, you want to get as many great recruits as possible, but you're always going to miss out on a few guys. It's the nature. Bama misses out on guys. Ohio State misses out on guys. The key is you have to hit more than you miss, but not every single recruit is going to change your life, man. Correct.
Something to add too, as we're thinking about that as well. It's like the tailgating. The reason is so people can be able to day drink without being judged. A lot of the recruits now, guys, they want their payments up front with NIL, and they don't care about championship. They want to go to the NFL. That's the truth. Like, a vast majority of players, that's not the case. But for your big elite players, yeah, they want to get paid right now. And they want to use the school like an Alabama or OU to develop to go to the NFL. Swiggy, you and I were talking about that years ago, where I said, does it feel like Bob's tenure right now? Around 2010 or 2011? It's less about winning a championship and more about how many NFL players I can make in this factory.
Yep.
That's what we talked about. It's ironic that around that same time, too, when you and I were discussing it, that's when Bob was hiring like his drinking buddies.
It's been that way. I mean that's just how it works now for major college programs. It's not that these guys, they want to play on Sunday. It's always been that way, but now that's your big. But now that's your big selling point to guys now is I'm able to develop you into NFL talent.
Yep. So again, I have no problems. I don't follow recruiting that hard with it. To me, it's let those people deal with it. A recruit, as they said, recruits change their minds. They're high schoolers. They don't know what they want for breakfast 5 minutes ago. So to me, it's like people losing their shit. There's better things to do. That's why we have other hobbies as well. Like, not that OU football isn't a bad hobby or anything, don't get me wrong, but it's like that's why we balance our lives for it. So, yeah, it is what it is. Now, I will say, don't get me wrong, I fully expect him to commit to it. But if, like, OU loses Dave, well, let me back up. I don't think OU is out of it yet, but I will say I do think the kid is, like, showboating because when they played, I think it's Lee Summit was playing Union, I think, last week. He was wearing still the OU cleats and the OU gloves. It's like, my dude, like, you can't be doing that. And all it is he's going to string along Missouri to get more money.
Exactly.
That should be absolutely expected. But that being said, I fully expect David Stone to commit. But if he doesn't, then yes, that should absolutely be a red flag for it. Because that's going to be, what's going to happen if he doesn't commit to it. Let's say he goes to Miami. Because that's the only other one in competition at this point. Well, guys, this is why we have to do NIL. It's not my responsibility to pay NIL. Go ask your big money oil donors to get that NIL. That's not my responsibility. I play season tickets.
Exactly. Look, man, if I buy an OU T-shirt, I've done my part. It's not my responsibility to go and pay players. Even even in the pros, it's like it's not my responsibility. It's your responsibility to go and do it. I like better players, and hey, if you're going to raise prices to do it, well, that's capitalism. I'm not going to talk about the overall. I'm not going to go nuts on the economics of it because there's no point. But no, don't give your own money to NIL stuff. Other people can figure it out. If that's what you want to give your money to, fine, man. But burying it in the backyard is a better use of your time.
Exactly. Let's see, Swiggy. Well, I just have it up here while I have it. Do you recommend any social media accounts for people that are watching, for people to follow OU stuff? Obviously, my go-tos are always like Red Dirt, Onikuno, obviously. The sites like On3. And then I think it's like Covered Wagons for recruiting if you really want to watch recruiting. But do you have any other sites or anything for people to recommend as it is now full gear into football season? Outside of the YouTube channel.
Not really. You name the people I follow, so it's not.
Yeah.
I don't have any big secret accounts to follow.
Yeah, I don't either. Non-OU related, I just want to briefly cover it. We disagreed on it, Swiggy, but man, I'm not going to lie. Those Air Force ones about celebrating the Doolittle raid, that's cringe. I'm sorry. Like, if you want to celebrate veterans, I'm okay with that. Whatever. There's no veteran alive left from the Doolittle raid. Like, why are we celebrating this? I get it. Oh, it was our first, retaliation. Oh, that's cringy, guys. I'm sorry. I know it's against, I think it's Navy. It's still cringy. It's not even during the actual anniversary. That's in April. My history side is screaming. My history degree is going, my dude, keep the war stuff out of the football stuff. I get it, but
yeah. You should. Yeah, you should keep the war stuff out of the football stuff, but we're not going to for some ungodly reason.
Yeah.
I don't know what to. Yeah, I don't know what to do. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to feel it. Yeah, I don't know how to feel about that. I'm just kind of like, okay, sure, why not?
It's weird. Out of all the things they could pick, we could do a tribute to the troops. We could do a tribute to this. It's just weird.
I agree. You're not wrong. It's very weird. It's very weird. I'm just like, okay, well.
This is happening.
Yeah, that's very much how I felt.
Now, the one thing I will say will make me laugh, Swiggy, is the so I read an article today. No, not today. I'm sorry. I read an article like Wednesday or Thursday of last week about how now with NIL that's happened, trading card companies can, finally start signing recruits like high schoolers and collegers to sign the trading cards, but they don't know what the market is because like an Arch Manning card just sold for like $102,000 or something at market. And they're like, we just don't know how to value it and for it. And I said, and they're like, we don't understand why like some stuff like Pokemon is popular and these would be like hard to market. I'm like, Swiggy, I want to make a company and I'm going to call it That Guy because I feel like they're looking at this and I just want to walk in the room and sit down and be that guy and go, A, Pokemon is the single largest franchise in the world. Everyone has a favorite Pokemon. B, are we all forgetting that that's probably money laundering that's happening? That's why it's for $100,000.
Yeah.
C, if they're banking off that it's going to be, they're gambling essentially of Arch Manning is going to be included with Eli and Peyton to be good. So let's get him now. But before he even has Snap. And then D, it's marketed to a very small market. That's why it's not being successful. How are y'all not seeing this?
Yeah, it's it's the same thing with any kind of bubble. There are people who are 100% going to go into it and go nuts with it because they're speculators. They're happy speculating and they're able. There's some guy out there who bought himself probably about 90,000 in Bored Ape NFTs because he could, and he wasn't going to lose anything and he has the money to burn on it if it goes badly.
Well, and then he got pissed. But then that same guy also got pissed. He was like, I can't believe people keep copying and pasting it. Well, you're just dumb.
It's a bubble. There's always bubbles. What happened? I haven't looked at it in a few. I haven't looked at it in like a few months. But what happened with the sealed video game market after COVID?
It's still there. It varies.
Well, I know it's there. It's just, but you're talking about how like there was just so much hype for like there was a 6 month to a year period where there was a lot of hype and games were being sold, and I think like games were being sold for like $1 million, and I'm just like, that's not real. It's
money laundering. I thought that. That's how I always think about it. On the flip side of it, though, I can see a value, no different than a comic book.
Oh
But
yeah.
it's gotta mean something though. Comics,
Oh yeah.
at least you could say like this one's valuable because this is the first appearance of X character. This was written by Stan Lee. Like there is value to it. There will be value to video game stuff. The issue with the video game though, there's so many people who work on it versus the limited like small about 10 people staff of a comic book or an author.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot more difficult to price that.
I just use it as a bubble example because that definitely bubbled. I don't know that just became a bubble, but that's where we are.
Right. Don't get me wrong. Like there will be a market for it. I genuinely believe there will be a market. I don't think we're just there yet. No different than the Pokemon cards or the Magic cards. There's a market for it because A, it's Magic. B, it's the artwork. Like you can go get it signed by your artist. There's plenty of that for it. Yeah. And then for like Pokemon, they're branching out having like full card arts and stuff. But that's the thing with the flip side with the football. I don't give two shits about an Arch Manning. Like they're gambling on it, hoping he is a Heisman in a big NFL thing. Oh, we got it right before he took a snap. That's what they're gambling on. But that market is so small until it's not. Like exactly. It's more of a Yu-Gi-Oh market at that point where it's like you want it now because it's an upfront versus later.
Yeah, and
it gets banned.
Yeah, and you just never know. The baseball card market has been pretty had a shock this last week.
Why? I'm unaware of that.
So there's been a shock to Wander Franco cards because nobody actually. Wander Franco is currently not playing. He's on the restricted list because he may have been with a high schooler in the Dominican Republic.
SpaghettiOs.
Yeah, and that kind of just that's the problem with speculating on stuff. It's like that card market took a tumble. Might recover, but that's just where you. That's the fun of speculation.
Right.
Some guy could be a jerk, and some guy could just be a Chris. Some guy could just be a big jerk. And
Correct.
You don't know it, and then by the time you realize it, you've invested a time. Look, I'll say this here. I'll say this too. If you want to buy something just to buy something because you enjoy it, do it. Do not buy something on a speculative price unless you can afford to lose that money. Please don't.
Correct. Well, it's also too like know what you're buying and stuff. If you're going to be truly in like an autograph market, know like what's going to sell, like what a value is or something for that. Because there is going to be a line. Because I've seen it at autograph showings where people want it, but they're charging too much. However, what they're charging, it kind of like I'll give you an example. Tara Strong. Tara has earned her stuff for being able to say, I want to charge $85 at autograph sessions. I saw that at Collecticon. She's Timmy Turner. She's Bubbles. She's Raven. She's Twilight Sparkles. She's Ben Tennyson. Like, she has absolutely earned it. 100%. The problem is, are people willing to pay it? Her line was one of the shortest because it was so expensive for it. And it's like, I think she's priced out her people and she's going to have to reel back for it. Or she knows there's people that are going to pay for it and it's going to equal out at the end. But here's the thing. She's a famous name for that. A lot of these football ones. Like, I'll give you an example. For OU, there's a market for a great example for it. I'm doing it as a own project, is trying to do like a ticket stub thing. There's a market for ticket stubs, but I want some OU specific ones. People in the OU market love jump around.
Yeah.
Is there a market for anywhere else?
No. It's the same thing with everything. Like, why not? Why not? I'll look this up pretty quick. We only got 2 minutes.
Sure. Well, we got a few minutes. Then while you do that, then some of the biggest ones then for it is going to be like, oh, hold on. There we go. Okay. While we're doing that, while you're looking it up, last bits, Swiggy. Week 0 starts this week. We've got Navy versus, because you're going to watch it. Navy versus Notre Dame. I think that one's the overseas one for it. And then you got USC versus San Jose State. USC should cream San Jose State. It shouldn't be any competition for them. I do think you're going to get some red flags or something for it if their defense doesn't hold up. Navy, I think they were decent last year, 2022. Navy midshipmen.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to look at their record for it just to remind me for it. They were 4-8. Yeah, Notre Dame's just gonna destroy them.
Yeah. But I mean, you're worth what people are willing to pay. Like, if you ever get bored, go to Cameo, where you have like the celebs charge money for a personalized message.
Right.
That's like just looking at Wayne Knight, Seinfeld, Jurassic Park. He's done a lot of stuff. You can charge $3.30, and that's just beer money to him because he doesn't care if you pay it or not. Because at some point, people are going to pay for it.
Correct.
Star Trek. If your name was on the main credits of Star Trek, you can get like $100 because you're Star Trek. But then you have like, oh god, who are some people I saw? Like, you have like some of the people who are on The Bachelor who are charging like $150, and I'm like, who's gonna pay you $150 just to say hi?
It's no different than the people I've seen at shows that it's like they were the background player or a background character in Star Trek or Star Wars. I don't care. And they're wanting like $150. I went, no. Hell no. Heck no. Exactly. So, Swiggy, any final thoughts as we wrap up this live stream?
My final thoughts are week 0 is going to be horrible, but we're going to love it anyway. Thank God we have Utah, Florida on the 31st on Thursday.
No, we had stuff before because it's week 0. We have stuff.
Yeah.
We're talking next week.
It's not good stuff. It's not good stuff. Yeah, UMass, New Mexico State, Hawaii, Vanderbilt. That's what I want. That's what I want. Utah, Florida on Thursday, and then we get Nebraska, Minnesota. That's gonna be. I guess this is my final thoughts. Nebraska will be better than last year just because they have to be.
Correct. Well, and that's what I say too. I do want to circle one thing back on that recruit for it. Look, I do not expect Niwa Nirik to commit to OU. I think he's doing a lot for that. However, I don't think OU's out of it yet with everything going on. I think it is going to be like the fight's not over with it because the name hasn't been signed. But what you're saying about that, the other reason for that, Missouri's coach is probably not making it through this year. Let's just be honest. So that's why. I don't expect him to commit. Don't get me wrong there. I'm upfront on that. If he does, cool. But there's a lot more other factors involved. Like, do you really want to be on a 4-8 Missouri team?
I mean, if I'm well paid, then yeah, sure.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't expect him to commit, but it is what it is. So, guys, thanks for everybody for joining tonight. Be sure to comment, rate, subscribe, like, and hit the bell so you know when we go live or when I upload a video. Again, watch some older videos as we are officially in week 0, and we are back on the regular schedule. I am going to try to still keep live streams about 90 minutes, okay? Just because I have so much going on and stuff at work, as well as like trying to keep up with stuff in the house. 90 minutes is our sweet spot that we're going to try to keep to on Sundays, and then Wednesdays, probably about an hour to an hour and a half, just depends on how much there is to talk about. Be sure to, again, spread the word about the channel. Tell friends about it. We like having people come on and talk about some football stuff. And as you saw with me and Swiggy tonight, hey, we talk non-football stuff too, like TV shows and movies and how much we're going to make cookies and stuff from our mailboxes, because of the heat. Be sure to spread the word to friends. And then, of course, guys, comment anything you're curious about what I'm going to upload over the week or when the next live stream is. It's going to be in the comment section for it. That is always in flux because it just depends on if I can sit down and record for it because I do have a normal everyday job. This is just a hobby. I don't make money off of it. So, Swiggy, I want to thank you for joining me again tonight. It's good for that football is finally back. I want everybody to remember this Wednesday we have a live stream with us with Swiggy again, and then Gavin, as it's kind of the last Wednesday before true football for OU starts for it. And for Wednesdays we do basically previewing the next game for it. This one's going to be a hangout, so anybody who wants to join us, hey, bring your thoughts, bring what you want to know about footballs. Or you want to talk baseball, Swiggy knows his baseball stuff. So So yeah, that's all I got, guys. So Swiggy, thank you again for joining me, guys. Everyone else, remember, Boomer Sooner, there's only one. Kickoff is a little under 2 weeks. So if you're going to the game, just start hydrating now and putting sunscreen on because it will benefit you here in 2 weeks. Just start doing it now. And remember, eat at Arby's. That was not an endorsement. It was just a joke. So everyone, Boomer Sooner, only one. See y'all Wednesday. Later, Swiggy.